Hello, hello, and welcome, my dear friends, to this week's episode of Beyond the NFT. As usual, my name is Sinful, and I am your host for tonight's Dollhouse Entertainment. um, if uh, if any of you are watching on any streaming platforms, please make sure to check us out on Decentraland. We are all gathered at the Dollhouse, coordinates -100, -100. And we're just the usual suspects here, chilling, getting ready for tonight's uh show. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate every single one of you here that are here this evening. Beyond the NFT would definitely not be this special if it wasn't for each and every one of you. So I gotta show love to you all. I gotta say hello, of course. I also see Zatter 3D in here. You looking fresh, my friend? Oh man, I meant to do my camera feature here. Looking fresh, my friend. Looking good. Where'd you get those pants, dude? What? I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to hit you up and see where you got your pants, dude. Looking sick. Of course, we got Tank Poco at the front on the rise, rocking her Mew. Official Cube Man, looking pretty in pink. Got that baby doll bathwater in hand. We got our guest from last week, Jay Isip, holding rocking his boxing gloves and his bong. Man, Jay, we're gonna have to chat about how you lost your eye on the metaverse. That must have been one big fight. We got the legendary Rustan in the building, looking good as always. Welcome, Billy T Coin. Awesome show, ABC. Once again, love you all, and thank you for everything you do. Now, without further delay, tonight's guest is a X Space host. Wow, that kind of sounded wrong. He is a Twitter Space host, artist, and CEO of The Vec. It is a pleasure to introduce DCoop in the DMV. How are you, man?
Good, brother. Good. Appreciate you having me up here on so many different platforms and vibing with all the homies. You guys are looking fantastic. All those zoom ins with all those different awesome wearables. It's just crazy. Y'all out here just really killing it.
yeah, yeah, man. The fashion plus bloom on point these days. In Decentraland, kind of gets me wondering what the next year's fashion week will bring. I like to say that a lot of us like glowed up back in fashion week, like we like transformed our metaverse selves. So I guess just to begin tonight's show, I always like to pass it back to my guest, give them the opportunity to give themselves a proper introduction, as well as like even shout anyone out in the crowd that you might see.
Appreciate you, brother. Big shout out to you. For you guys that don't know, Sinful and I linked up through DCL, mostly tap in Tuesdays with Spotty Wi-Fi and the fam, tracks, and all the homies out there. They blessed me with highlighting me just about a month and a half ago. It was super lit, and yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. And not only have, Sinful and I connected as homies, but he's also hooked me up with some really cool wearables too. I came in just with the basics, and he got me threaded up and everything, looking fresh. But as far as myself goes, yes, I've been a host on X. It
It's
does.
so
It
weird to
sounds
say, right?
right. It sounds like it's like a I don't know, like a adult streaming platform or something. But yeah, I could go on for ages about my background, but essentially, I guess I'll just start with Web3 and kind of go from there, connect the dots. So I joined up in crypto in about 2017. My homie, who's actually a DJ around the way, really intelligent dude and really hip to new technology and trends. I call him my crypto guru. He kind of gave me a lot of insight on all the big altcoins and things at that time, and kind of led me the way, showed me the ropes of different exchanges and swapping and conversions and all that kind of jazz. So if it weren't for him, I don't think I would have really dove in and stuck with crypto as much as I did. So big shout out to the homie. And after that, I think it was, I want to say, the summer of 2020, I was posting a lot of stuff on Instagram that was like digital art style stuff. Originally, the VEC, which is the Village Entertainment Collective, which is, I'll get more into that kind of later on. Originally was called DMV Entertainment, with the acronym Dirty Mouth Village, but I've kind of transitioned to a different perspective, let's say, and different kind of brand mission and vision overall. It's been a big growth steps throughout. And at that time, I was posting, like I said, some digital art on Instagram, and that was kind of catered to new music scene type stuff. And a buddy I went to high school with commented and was like, "Hey man, why don't you start designing NFTs?" And I kind of heard about NFTs since I was in a lot of crypto chats and checking it out all over the place and everything. And so I was like, okay, I'll look more into it. And so I started doing a lot of research, just kind of, hopping into Discords, getting more into Twitter, because at that time I had like 150 followers and just never really cared about Twitter all that much. I was, an Instagram maxi, I guess. And I just, got really, really interested in, yeah, it was cool, make money, floor price go up, all that jazz.
Mhm.
But I was really, really interested in the youthfulness, the technology, the kind of, I guess, revolutionary aspect, you would say, of the space. And so I just started slowly, investing in certain projects. Psychedelics Anonymous was my first OG community that really kept me in the NFT space, I would say. And then, the Plague, obviously, Root Troop, I could name a bunch of others. And then as far as music goes, I would say when I first dove into music was about, I want to say, like 9 months to a year after that. I hadn't really seen a lot of music spaces or music projects or anything. And I hopped into a space where it was Champ, Snoop Dogg's son, Dre the Noid, a bunch of other, real big music heads that were also delving into the crypto Web3 NFT space. And I jumped up and, chatted it up with a couple of them. And, Dre was just super humble, super cool, super welcoming. And, it was wild for, somebody like myself at that time who didn't really have a following, was just kind of dipping my toes in the water, to just be kicking it with these people and not feel like lesser than, I guess you would
Mhm.
say, because I wasn't, a big name or anything. And I shared some of my music with Dre, and he gave me some constructive criticism, but really, gave me pushed me forward in that aspect. Within Web3 music, I was still heavily pursuing music. I guess you'd say, Web2 style, on the outside. And then, after that, it was just kind of a history. I couldn't get enough. I just started following more and more Web3 artists, jumping in spaces, connecting with them. And yeah, fast forward to today where I've got, a ton of collaborations in the works with a bunch of different artists throughout the space of all different genres. And, now onboarding Web2 artists to do that same thing. People I grew up with, have worked with in the past, people that I've met recently, from, all across the boards. But that's pretty much the long and short of how I got here, I guess.
Mhm. uh, I mean that is freaking sick that you jumped into that space with Snoop Dogg's son. I believe, like, I was not there, but I did. It was one of those spaces that I heard about, and even in the Twitch chat, I see on the rise saying, "Yeah, I kicked it in that space too." His son is very, very humble.
Oh
uh,
hell yeah, man.
it,
Yeah, definitely. That was a lit space, and he's for somebody that's got a family with that much, recognition, success, and talent. He's definitely a very, very humble dude.
Mm-hmm. And so, from that space, from that space that you jumped in with Snoop's son, how long after till you started hosting your own spaces?
I want to say, are we glitching a little bit? My screen froze a little bit. All right,
For
cool.
a
We're
little
back.
bit, but we're back.
Nice, nice. So that's kind of like a mix there because I had started doing these spaces called Psychedelics Anonymous Builders and Founders
Mm-hmm.
because at that time a lot of the community members were just starting to build their own projects and kind of get a foothold for themselves as founders or working with projects as community managers or devs or things like that. So we started a group chat on Twitter with probably about 30 of us, and we would host these spaces every week. And I was kind of the main host, but at the same time, it was very more communal, where we would kind of just pass around the room throughout, and we would discuss, what projects we were involved in. And it really wasn't a chill space; it was way more of a learning space.
Mm-hmm.
We would talk about the projects that we were in, and then we would talk about certain issues we were facing, certain trends that may have a lot of effects on the projects that everyone was building. And it was cool because a lot of connections came out of that. A lot of people ended up being devs for other projects or community managers for other projects or building out the website or working on the metadata for the art and things like that. So that's where it really started. And at that same time, the PA community was having weekly spaces that were daily spaces as well, and each space had a different subject. And the main host there, shout out to Miami Malik and Junior and Kloss and all of them. I'm sure many of you have seen them across the timeline. They're big in a lot of spaces. They're real good guys, and they reached out to me. It was Malik, and he was like, "Hey, man, I've seen what you've been doing with the Builders and Founder Space, and I was wondering if you wanted to come on as the Tuesday host for PA Spaces and start doing that similar kind of thing. Interviewing projects, kind of asking the tougher questions, and just really giving some insight to the community about what it means to build out a project." And I was psyched. I was like, yeah, man, that'd be fantastic. So I started doing that. I think the biggest one I ever had was with Liberty Square from the Solana ecosystem. Awesome project, really, really great, solid team. And Pons from the Plague. It was it was a wild space. It was really cool. And after that, I kept up with that up until just a few months ago, where we kind of switched it to be more focused on uh, psychedelics themselves, legalization, advocacy, and projects that surround that specifically. And music spaces, I really started hosting, I want to say about 4 months ago ish, four maybe 5 months ago, and my co-host and I grip beat on Vibe City Fusion Fridays. This week we're doing Thursday, but it's typically 5 EST on Fridays. We really started kicking it into gear about, I want to say this will be I believe it's our 16th episode. I might be wrong now. But yeah, it's been a beautiful journey, spaces wise.
Yeah, by any chance, do you remember what that big space, what the numbers were? Because if like, timeline kind of serves correctly, we're still either in bull run or on the way down.
Oh
So
yeah.
so still
That's
lots of hype around the space.
Oh yeah, that's we're kind of in that limbo, right? Everybody's asking, everybody's trying to figure out. But I would say, see, it's I'm a little bummed because now I utilize superspaces.ai to really see who my main audience is, and get all those kinds of analytics and things that really help with spaces. But at that time, I was running specifically off the PA Spaces account, so I need to really run back and go through because I want to get some good clips from that one and stuff. But if my memory serves me correct, I think during the space we ended up with over like 900 something listeners, and then after you get the listeners that run it back and everything, we hit close to like 1,200, 1,300, I think. So that was definitely the largest space that I've ever hosted.
That's so dope. I mean, I wouldn't know what to do with a space that big. Like personally, let's see, I've hosted spaces that have had like two, no, not even two. It was like 150, 140 around there. And even there, I was like, I don't know what to do. I can only imagine what your position was like. Like, oh my God, the number just keeps growing and growing. There,
Oh
uh,
yeah, it was definitely a big rush, and I think what really kind of helped me to keep my cool. Well, to be honest, I started out not keeping my cool because I'd gotten this soundboard and everything. Shout out to Goody. He's a Spaces host. Many of you probably know, who has a Twitter thread on his profile about the PodTrack P8, which is great for anybody who wants to be a Spaces host, and especially if you're an artist who wants to play music. It really taps you in on Twitter Spaces with a whole new sound. Like, it's way better than playing it off speakers or anything like that. But I had accidentally ordered the wrong cord because they were out of stock, which you need this specific cord to direct mic into your phone for the Spaces.
mhm.
And so him and I were kind of test running it right before the space. I was like, I don't know what's going on, man. I don't know why it's not working. And I, told everybody, oh, I'm going to have all these sound effects. It's be super cool. And I was like hyping everybody up. Yeah. And he's like, oh, okay. So, we're going like front to back testing. And he's like, okay, pull out that cord. And he's like, oh, does it have, three black little prongs or two? And I was like, two. He's like, oh, wrong cord, man. Not going to work. And I was like, and this is like 5 minutes before I'm about to go live. And I'm like,
Devastating.
oh.
Oh,
I was like, are you kidding me? And so we go live, and everybody's like, where are the sound effects at? And I'm like, man, so kind of started off with, definitely a nervous tip there. But I'd say probably about 15 minutes into the space, I just stopped looking at the numbers in the screen. I was like, I'm just not going to do it because it just keeps growing and it's freaking me out. I was like, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to talk to Ponds and
yeah.
Liberty, and I'm not going to look at my phone unless I'm emojiing. That's
Yep.
it.
Yep. Just focus on the conversation. Focus on your role within the conversation. That is all. Like it feels like at least like when it's like the biggest event that you've hosted this far, it always feels like there's always that one small thing that happens before the show that or that doesn't happen, that kind of sets you in the loop of like at the beginning of the show, like shit, I don't have this is going to be a big deal because I don't have this. And then like kind of as you're progressing with the show, you're like more like, you know what, I never needed this, did I?
Oh, exactly. Yeah. You can set everything up to be perfect, and think that everything's going to fire on all cylinders, but at the end of the day, 90% of those instances, like you said, you're going to be missing one of those parts, or something's going to go wrong, and you just got to pivot and roll with it, and that, I guess, like the kind of energy that comes from that, I agree fully. Like, you're like, oh, I didn't need that in the first place, because it ended up being, way more lit just with the conversation. And, luckily for that one specifically, Pons and Liberty are both, you know, immaculate speakers and communicators. So I was just kind of the one firing the questions, and they were the ones just really killing it. So,
Mm-hmm.
I was keeping the vibes up, but they were definitely the ones, like, really hitting with the 1-2s on the information and perspectives on their projects and the space as a whole. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think honestly the soundboard at that point would have just been more of a distraction than anything.
Yeah. So I want to bring it back to kind of your beginning days in crypto. You had mentioned that you had a DJ friend that kind of like onboarded you, showed you the ways, and taught you like, hey, use this, but don't use that. You know, you had that homie. One, does he still DJ? And two, is he still around? Like, could you tell us about him? Give him a little shout out.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was, well, they are actually, so they were a duo, and they were called Bass Dread, which is super cool. They're two dudes who are just like dreaded up, like super spiritual, like show hippie kind of dudes, really talented DJs. I think if at that time, Web3 music and everything existed, that they would have really skyrocketed. But, in the DMV, you have mainly those big shows like, it was Starscape and Moonrise and, Fall Massive and everything, where it's really tough to get a big name because you had all these huge headliners coming in. But as far as the local shows went, and even some of those bigger ones that they ended up opening for here and there, they were killing it. My homies Halsey and and yeah, and so they ended up. Halsey stayed around here, and Ross moved out to. I'm trying to think. Last time he was in the, I think he, I can't remember off the top of my head, to be honest. I think somewhere in the Middle East, but I have to double check. But I've still kept in contact with both of them here in Ross. It's not Ross, it's Ross. No, sorry, it's like mispronunciation there. But yeah, no, I've kept in contact with both of them pretty consistently. I moved a little bit further away from where Halsey's at, but I tap in with him here and there. He's doing really well. He still does music as more of like a hobby type thing, but he's really been on his like spiritual side of grinding. And Ross, last time I talked to him, he is actually working on a lot of back end work on Web3 game development. And at the time we last spoke, which was, I want to say like 3 or 4 months ago, he actually said he couldn't really divulge too much, but that he would, keep in touch and let me know what was good. And I need to circle back to that because both him and I got so busy that we just haven't like followed up on that. So yeah, definitely glad you brought that up because I definitely need to go back to my Facebook
Yo.
Messenger that I never use and hit him up and see what's good.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Definitely hit him up. It's always good to catch up with the old homies. Just even catch up with life. Um, okay. So you had also mentioned that like, despite all the hype, despite everyone that like the fact that everyone was like, making money from crypto because crypto markets were pumping and all that stuff, you had mentioned that one thing that really kept you like here in the space, like active and contributing to it, was your interest about like your interest in the new technology. Um, like what were some of the what was some of the new tech that kind of really caught your eye like back then, and kind of like does this still remain true to you today, like that the tech is still fascinating to you?
That's a really, really good question. I don't think I've ever had that one thrown at me. To be to be honest, I think when I started out, it was more so just blockchain and the contracts and having art kind of live forever. The idea of that was what fascinated me the most. Because as much as I hate to say it, at that time there were a lot of projects that were promising a lot of new technology, a lot of these big grand ideas that sadly most of us know 99% did not come to fruition, whether it was through unfortunately mishandling of money or just not having realistic um,
Mhm.
plans or roadmaps, as they say. And also there's a lot of variables that come into play with that. I think what really kept me here in terms of the technology aspect side of things is just it broadened so much in a great way, but a also a I'm trying to think of the word, not like in a broad way, but also a very like specific way, right? So of course, you know, I'm a big music head, so anything music wise I love, you know, like Sound YZ, what Trax is doing, you know, the way that so many of these independent artists are building out their own projects with their own contracts and the kind of innovativeness that they bring into that to be able to not only have ownership, creativity, you know, rights to anything that they want to do, but also the way that they can directly engage with their fans utilizing whether it's platforms or you know even just Discord, how that works into a lot of these things, and also you know then you know AI has become a big part of a lot of different things. And although I don't think that many of us should rely as much as we do on it all the time, I definitely think there's a lot of great tools that can be utilized to further development in many different aspects. For instance, you know, I'm a pretty good artist when it comes to you know drawing and doing graffiti and things like that. But the amount of time it takes me to really develop something great is just tough for my current schedule. Whereas, you know, I can go into Midjourney, do really great prompts, and you know, do them consistently over and over and over again until I get basically the base format of something that I really, really like, and then take it out of there, use, you know, Photoshop or a bunch of these different apps and softwares for, you know, digital art to really bring it to more life and do what I am imagining with it more because the AI still can't really reach that potential, right? And then if we're talking, you know, kind of the business side of things, like what the Plague is doing with, you know, WinSwap and making coffee, where, you know, that's what really drew me to the Plague is decentralizing opportunity through this technology. Where before, you know, if you were somebody who, you know, isn't a big investor, you don't have a ton of money, you know, how are you really going to invest in a business or, you know, support a business that you are passionate about? So, you know, in terms of that. But yeah, you know, I definitely have the same faith and the same passion for the technology. But there were times throughout the past couple of years that was pretty disheartening because there were a lot of, you know, and I'm not going to name names or you know failed projects or anything, but there were quite a few projects that I was super hyped about that just didn't fit the bill when it came to you know putting the nose to the grindstone and getting that stuff done. But there's
Hmm.
still many projects out there doing fantastic things that keep me passionate about the current and future technology in space.
Yeah. It seemed like early on within the space, it like you mentioned earlier, like a lot of projects came into loop, over promising like stuff that was not possible, maybe even yet, maybe it'll take 10 years to develop, and they kind of just like went with the wind. But the ones that kind of were really about it, you can kind of see it. They're still here in one way or another. One off the top of my head that I could like kind of talk about is the kid called Beast Project. Like through thick and thin, they've still been kind of strong. They've been strong in terms of their community and what they do for their holders.
Oh yeah, 100%. You know, to be honest, when I first saw Kid Call Beast, I didn't really know much about it besides the, you know, everyone was really hyped over the art,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody, you know, at that time there was a lot of, you know, 3D art coming out, but
Yep.
not the full, you know, not the full form with the, you know, GLB files and everything like that. So at that time, I had also really taken a backseat to supporting and jumping into a lot of projects because everybody was getting burned a lot of the time, right? And so I started hopping in spaces. I started seeing a lot of people that I respected, supporting the community and everything. So I started getting more and more interested, and started looking more into it. And at that time, I was mainly focusing on the music side of things. I was just like, music is my bread and butter here now, and that's what I'm gonna stick with. And then I started seeing that a lot of the community, with Beach Street and everything, and shout out to Crover and them with Beach Street Saturdays, and all the Beast artists that are West Ghosts and everybody that are super talented. And so that kind of drew me in as well. And then yeah, I just saw the huge potential that they had on the various aspects when it comes to how they're developing toys, how they're doing the AI with the having your Kid Called Beast utilized in video chats and everything like that, and how much they were also giving back in terms of providing the community with wallet guards and all these different aspects. And I can't even, to be honest,
They
I
do
can't
so
even name.
much.
Well, yeah, I can't even name like every initiative they're doing, but yeah, they're definitely obviously I've got my beast on my profile, on my banner, and it's been really tough to decide between the frog and the beast. But I think how I've laid it out nicely shows kind of the trifecta there, I guess, of the PFPs. But yeah, no, shout out to Raspy and the whole team out there, and the community too, because the community is so heavily involved. I'm in different group chats. One of them is metaverse builders with Make and everybody, and then you have the Blender chat with Red and all them. And so not only is the team really innovating and coming up with all these different ways to build it out as a true business, as well as it's backed by a strong community that really provides a lot of insight and puts work into the brand on both ends, not just promoting it and hyping it up, but really having the conversations and providing whether it's resources or insight or things like that, but really being way more involved than a lot of communities that you see that hype up the project, but many times are just looking for a pump, to be honest.
Yep, exactly. So the founders can just dump their PFPs that they don't believe in. But yeah, the beasts have been very, very solid. Many initiatives for sure. Man, I was going to mention something. Oh yeah, kind of. When I first saw Beast, like that was like around the time when everyone was it was like the beginning of the cope portion of things, where like everyone had already been betrayed by all the other projects that were rugging and stuff like that, and then like Kid Called Beast comes up, I also took a backseat around those times, as far as PFP projects. I kind of like said no PFP projects, more if I'm going to support someone, I'm going to support them directly, which would be like buy that artist's art piece, or buy that music NFT directly from someone that I met on a space or something that I had a legit conversation with. uh
100%.
but even continuing on, like, yeah, I took that back seat, but as the beasts were like, as everything kept going, markets kept going down, and beast floor price kept going down as well. Like, I was still looking at it, and I would always get referred back to that community, with like Love Louie in there, and a few other Decentraland community members. Like that project was always looming around. It's and yeah, so I took the 0.24 uh ETH investment for me. Is like, oh my god, this is the most I've ever spent on an NFT.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I would say we have very, kind of similar journeys in that aspect. What beast hood is your beast, by the way? I don't think I've seen your beast before
I am
somehow.
in Studio 66. Which kind of, I guess I like to say it was probably like a meant to be kind of thing. I know that there's like what I learned from Kid Called Beast is there's the different beast hoods, and each beast hood kind of focuses on different aspects of things. There's like the some art beast hoods, and then there's business and all that. Apparently this Studio 66 is for social media and influencing. I think that's kind of where I lie in the grand scheme of things, maybe.
Nice, nice, man. Yeah, no, that's definitely right up your alley, no pun intended. And that one is fresh, dude. That definitely, I don't know, that definitely gives me sinful vibes. Like it's, the nice little polo there with the chain and everything, looking fresh, dude. Definitely, definitely.
Yep, yep, and I've been meaning to get them all dripped out with Sazzy's drip from the Beast store.
Oh yeah, that's a perfect example right there. How we were discussing that the community's so involved and innovative as well. Sazzy's like is designing some of the coolest wearables for beasts that are just so dope. I'll actually let me see in a second. I'll post like a couple that I messed around with that are all Sazzy designs.
Nice.
Uh, and fun fact, about mine is that I had a really tough time choosing it because, at first I really wanted to do Beat Street. Obviously as a musician, but mine is not a Beat Street. I chose it because of, the branding with Duality Studios. Everything is mainly red and gold, silver and blue. And so when I saw, this one with the puffer with the red and white and blue, which I aim to kind of, redesign a little bit to be more, on brand as we say. Um, I just couldn't pass it up, even though it's Cloudy Gardens, which is the writers. But that also makes a lot of sense as well because before I was really a musician, artist, rapper type person, I guess you'd say. I'd always grown up being a writer. I wrote poetry. I wrote stories. Started on a novel and things like that. I've done wedding speeches, eulogies, pretty much any aspect of writing that you can think of. I've dove headfirst into. So I guess Cloudy Gardens kind of made more sense for my initial one, but I definitely have my eye on a Beach Street down the road, 100%.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah, yeah. I'm looking around. Maybe haven't decided what my second beasthood is either. Will be, but we'll find out in the future myself. And you kind of briefly mentioned in in kind of like your last sentences, you spoke about kind of how you were looking for your beast, and you were trying to get more in like a music beasthood. I guess this would be a good segue to get into your work, your creations. You are an artist and a musician. You recently released Lacey on sound.xyz. It was an open edition that minted 228 mints. What can you tell us about the song? What inspired it? How long it took you to write? Like, what can you tell us?
Yeah, for sure, man. It's a blessing to be on sound with all the other incredibly talented artists. And now being able to play around with all the tools and different things that not only the artists get to benefit from, but the community, sharing music, being able to now directly comment and things like that. But before I get too much into it, I could just run it because I feel like the people should maybe hear it first to have a perspective because I feel like the music kind of speaks for itself in a lot of ways more than I ever can.
Please do, please do.
Awesome, awesome. I got it queued up here. And just so everyone knows, because I always love to give credit where credit is due, this was a collaboration with my homie Iotemi, who is also on sound as well as a bunch of other different platforms. Yep, that's him right there, who deemed his own genre, created his own genre called indigo rap. Which I'll get more into after this, but blessed to be in collaboration with a homie in a style of music that I kind of was, thirsting for, let's say, for a long time. But yeah, without further ado, this is Lacey, a Web3 love story. Oh, my fault. I had that whole lead up, and then I realized I didn't change. I've been going back and forth between the studio setup and the soundboard setups. Give me one sec.
Yep, yep. Do your thing. Do your thing. Perfect.
All right, here we
Yeah. But this girl I done whip three. Name was Lacey, saw her in a spaceship. Was cooler than a AC. So long I've been waiting for my lady. Could call me crazy, but the vibes was HD. Hot like a chili pepper, cool like a deep December. Silk in any weather, gypsy like my soul is tethered. Tipsy off the pain and pleasure. Black she gets on and feather. Wing golden, fully measure. All Joan, age get severed. Side you must remember. Find you out when you recenter. Mine on prize hard in the blend until I met her. Oh, so tender. Tongue can still cut through my leather. Vibes were hygiene. Beauty was frightening. Super ultra lightning. We had fell out of touch back in 2019. One night at the club NFT NYC. I heard her voice like I got struck by lightning. And then she was spun over ultra lightning. She hid her scars behind her arcs. Believing love's the hardest part. Insisted distance from the start. Energy was off the chart. In her eyes, I was seeing stars. Scream between was too damn hard. Pack my bags and put to car. Some it might sound so bizarre, but if I'm out driving so far, I pray and see her at the bar. And that we share lasting sparks. So I must leave up on my heart. The homie said I was looking crazy. Today saw lazy. So crazy, crazy, that you're the one. You're the one for me. Lazy, so crazy, that you're the one. You're the one, that you're the one for me. Lazy, yeah, crazy, that you're the one. Yeah, that you're the one for me. Lazy, you're so crazy. Oh my, that you're the one. You're the one for me. That you're the one for me. For me. For me. For me. It's you're the one for me. For me. For
Let's
me.
go. That was Lacey. Currently dropping the link on all streaming platforms.
Appreciate you, brother. Definitely appreciate you. They're actually none for sale right now, which is really,
I was gonna say the diamond hands are real with this one. I did check the secondary market, which
appreciate
yep,
you, brother.
yep,
Definitely
none.
appreciate you. They're
Oh,
actually none for sale right now, which is really,
I was gonna
wonder why
say
I'm
the
getting
diamond hands are real with this one. I did check
Yeah, it's
the
weird getting the
secondary
double.
market,
Yeah, it might
which
be
yep,
me.
yep,
One
none.
second. Appreciate you. They're
Oh,
actually none for sale right now, which is really,
wonder why I'm getting There we go. Got it.
boom, boom.
Sorry about that. Technical difficulties.
Oh,
um
no worries. I have plenty of those.
yeah, Lacey, beautiful song. What does Lacey mean to you? What does the song mean to you?
So, it's pretty wild how it kind of came to be. So, I kind of started with meeting Io Timmy, right? And also a combination of like my musical journey because when I met him, I had a lot of my older style music was kind of harder, like gangster rap style stuff, but I was also mixing genres with like country hip hop, with, EDM style hip hop and everything. But it was a lot more, you know, high energy, hype type music. But I also started experimenting with more conscious rap. And I had started doing a lot of research on frequencies, like how, Jimi Hendrix utilized frequencies in his music, and all these different artists, brought that into play, to really be the kind of talent and uniqueness within their genres. And so I, had started really trying to get into that, but it was also, juggling a lot of different hats and different aspects. And when I met Timmy, it was through a Twitter space, just off the rip randomly. I saw that he was running one, and it had like, waves on the Twitter space description, and was like indigo rap and stuff. And I was like, oh, that seems really cool. Like, I'm gonna check that out. So I jumped in and I was listening to his music and listening to him talk. And, he's just a very, very well spoken, very, chill vibes type of dude. And once he started playing his music, I was like, man, this guy is talented. Like, he is a different breed when it comes to creating music and creating the story within the music. And so I jumped up and got to talking with him, and I, shared some of the stuff that I had started working on that was kind of in that same realm. And, I was like, yeah, man, where are you from? And he was like, oh, I'm from, I'm from Nigeria, but I live in Southern Maryland right now. I was like, oh, really? I live in Southern Maryland. And he was like, oh, for real? And I was like, a lot of people, it's, not necessarily the best idea to be like, yeah, here's my address. So like, we kind of guess like I just, feeling each other out, I guess. And I was like, yeah, I live kind of like in the Laurel area. And he was like, oh, really? He was like, do you know where the Crystal Fox is? And I was like, bro, I love the I was like, I love the Crystal Fox. It's where I go to get all my spiritual shit. I go get my wife gifts from there because she's a geologist, so she's obsessed with rocks. She's the more the scientific side. I'm more of the spiritual, metaphysical side of stones and crystals and rocks and stuff. And he was like, no way, I live 5 minutes from there. And I was like, bro, I live 5 minutes from there. And so, we got to talking and everything. And I threw a party at the crib, and I invited him and also Sean Don, which I'm sure a lot of you guys know Sean Don. Shout out to the homie. He's another incredibly talented artist in the Web3 space. And, they came over, we kicked it, we just had a real good time. And, I was talking to Io, and I was like, hey, man, let's get a studio sesh going. I really want to, try out the kind of styles that you're working with. And I think we could really do a dope collaboration. And he was like, yeah, man, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. So, we set up a time and everything. And I'd hit up one of my producer buddies, and I was like, hey, man, I need some 432 hertz beats. And, he's kind of a spiritual guy himself. So he's like, all right, I got you. So, he sent me 5 of these beats, and I was sitting there, getting ready for the session. I'd started writing to one of them, just kind of getting into the groove of things. And I wrote about 8 bars, which is the first 8 bars that are on Lacey. And, Io comes over, and, he's like, so what are we doing with this song? What's the storyline? Where are we going with this? And I was like, well, to be honest, well, at first I showed him these 5 different instrumentals, and I let him pick, right? I was like, I like to do that with new artists. I show them like 3 to 5, and then I let them pick the one, and then we go with the flow. Mm-hmm. And he happened to pick the one that I was writing to. So it just worked out like, it's kind of divine, I guess. And, I was like, all right, bet, that's the one I'm actually writing to. And he was like, well, where are you going with it? And I was like, oh, I was just kind of doing like an overall, spiritual, conscious, hip hop type vibe. And he just throws me a curveball. He's like, well, hear me out. What if we did it about a Web3 love story? And I was like, oh, all right, I guess I'm gonna have to like, figure out the next steps here. Like, and I was like, but no, that's really cool. And I was like, we started not only talking about what the song, itself would be, but kind of like, what it would represent, how we could kind of have it, stand on its own as kind of like a mini project versus just doing one single. And, so then I started writing to my part, and, seeing him with that the way that he creates was just awesome, because he layered every piece of that. I mean, still to this day, when I listen to it, I feel like I hear different aspects. If you really listen to it through some really good headphones, you just hear so many different aspects, because each one of those takes was layered like 9 times, and not doubled up layered. I'm talking like different aspects. And so we kind of, he finished recording his all of his that day. I finished writing the first my first verse, and then over the next few days, I really sat there with it, and just kept going and kept going and kept going, and then we finally had this beautiful story that was a combination of his story, my story about love and Web3, and how that kind of all ties together. And the name Lacey actually is also funny, because it was a little random. It was kind of a little random piece of it, because he was like, well, what should her name be? Should it be Ashley or Stacy or Lacey? And I was like, Ashley, no offense to the Ashleys out there, but I feel like it should be something a little more out of the box. And I was like, and then you got Stacy, which is like, I'm thinking Stacy's mom, like that type of deal. Like, so I was like, I feel like Lacey is the most unique out of the three. I feel like I could come up with a lot of different wordplay and stuff to go into it. I was like, so, I think we should go with Lacey. And he was like, all right, bet. And yeah, it's been a beautiful journey. It was great dropping the collaboration with him, and having, our two communities come together and support, and really be hyped up about the song, as well as, a lot of the mentors on there are IRL fans, homies, and family of mine, who are now, onboarded into Web3, and now seeing all of these other amazing musicians. My wife is a huge fan of Mela B. She loves Nessie. She's also becoming a big fan of a lot of these artists, as well as, a lot of my friends and family are. So it's really a combination of, just amazingness. And, last thing I'll say, because I don't want to go on forever about this, but during the time of the mint, and even till today, like, the feature of people being able to directly comment on the song and have that pop up while it plays, is just genius and beautiful to me, because during that mint, like, that's, what really kept me like hyped up about jumping in spaces and sharing it. Like, it was cool to be able to share my music and our music, and everything, but seeing people actually resonate with it and comment on it, and still to this day, I'll wake up and I've heard the song a million times now. So as an artist, you kind of get sick of hearing your own voice, but I sometimes I'll just play it with the volume off just to see those comments, because it's deeply appreciated, having so many different people from so many different walks of life, not only support the song, but really be able to resonate with it, and get a good feeling from it.
Most definitely. Yeah, that was one thing I did notice when I looked at the page, was the amount of comments from. I mean, I'm scrolling down right here, and I'm seeing a lot of friends that I know, that I've interviewed, that I've had the pleasure of like listening to their music and stuff like that. What's it like as a musician to receive props from another musician that is like already deemed like worthy in the space, let's say, or someone that's already established in the space?
I would say it's kind of like a combination answer for me, I guess, because I've never been one to, like, I've met big time artists,
Mm-hmm.
and I've never been one to be like, yo man, you're so amazing, like, oh my god, like, blah blah blah. Like, Yellow Wolf is one of my biggest inspirations, and I met
Mm-hmm.
him outside of a club at a show in Baltimore, and just got to really like kind of get to know him as a person for like 20 minutes. Not like, can I get an autograph? Like, oh my god, you're so cool, like, blah blah. Like, yeah, he is fucking cool, but it's just the difference of like, say there's and there is there's artists on there that maybe some people in the space would say, oh well, they've sold a couple NFTs or something like that. But I see them as like, yeah, they might have sold 10 NFTs, 20 NFTs, 5,000 music NFTs. But I see the talent and the passion of an artist, no matter what their level of fame is, right? And yeah, there are some artists on there as well that have gotten widely recognized in the space. But at the end of the day, I think what really means the most, seeing those comments and also getting those comments in the DMs, during spaces and everything like that, is really just knowing that other talented individuals who are so passionate about their music and the Web3 music space in general is just an amazing feeling, and yeah, I can't even really put it into words because, I'm sure all the artists out there have had times in their lives where you didn't get that, not even from people that you thought you would get that from. There were times when I started out where I was so hyped to share my music with friends and family and other artists that I respected, and even ones that were kind of on my similar level 5-6 years ago. And it was pretty it was, excuse my French, pretty shitty feeling sometimes to share something that you put so much heart into, just to have someone be like, oh yeah, that was all right. Or, the worst part is seeing them just like tune out. You know what I mean? That's even worse than hearing you're shitty, in my opinion, to just see them like not paying attention. And, of course, like I've had, my soul sis Maddie on there, my brother Mateo, like they have been two of my biggest supporters and fans. I don't even like calling them fans because they're family. And at the same time, Maddie always kept it real with me and was like, oh, this one wasn't as good as the last one you showed me, and I think it needs some more of this, or I think more of that. And I always respected that criticism. I actually put that above having a yes man all the time telling me that all my shit is dope, because I know all my shit's not dope all the time. Like, and so yeah, it's just it's a beautiful thing in Web3, because yeah, the comments and everything are great, and the love and support is amazing, but just really having the difference of so many people eager and happy to listen and give you the feedback and stuff is what really makes a difference from a lot of what I experienced in going to local venues or parties or things like that, and sharing music with other people, fans, artists, such like that. It was just a huge eye opener when I started hopping in these spaces, feeling like, wow, this is real community, this is real artists and music lovers coming together to do the damn thing.
Exactly. As a content creator, like before coming into Web3, yeah, I mean, not everyone will see the vision, not everyone will support, but 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 like there are there are things that someone can do, which kind of gets to like one of my most important things that I usually tell someone in Web3 coming in. Like, one of the most important things you could do is find that online community that you can connect with, that you can grow with, and learn from. And once you find that community, it's like you'll notice the night and day difference of like the bubble around you to kind of like a Web3 community, or even like I guess we could even chalk it down to like people are here to listen to music. I don't know, but
Oh yeah, 100%. And I would say like having your one core community is great. Like obviously the frogs are a core community of mine. The PA fam is a core community of mine. The Beast fam is a core community of mine. But it's really like resonating with those individuals within the community that bridge you out to other like-minded communities, like
Hmm.
because of these, you know, musicians and supporters within those communities, like Platty Mama, shout out to her, in the frog community. You know, she opened me up to, you know, Life's a Joke Radio and Rocky Too Grimy and all of them over there. You know, R.I.P. Pastor Pothead, like, you know, he's Jesus. I can't even, you know, say enough good words about that man. He's hilarious, just, you know, an amazing individual. You know, still here with us in spirit every day. um, but yeah, you know, that really bridged me out to other supportive communities that, although some of them I may not be directly a part of, but still, you know, have that community feel, like, you know, the hippies, the toonies, the, you know, the Violetta and the moon shitters, as they call themselves, and, you know, all these different communities within communities. And, you know, I came from a background of building community, in different aspects with fraternities, organizations, with sororities, you know, that come into play with that, with philanthropic communities, and things like that. And so luckily on that side of things, as well as, you know, my collective of musicians and artists, and family in that aspect, that really, you know, showed me that from the beginning, and kind of translated into Web3. It just kind of felt like, you know, my next home, that kind of originated from my original homes, if that
Hmm.
makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. I I'm sure. I mean, throughout the time with the VEC, I you have in a way built your own home as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I, no disrespect, but I typically call it the VEC. The Vec, the Vec sounds kind of like, I don't know, but no worries at all. You know, I pronounce and say things plenty different in a lot of spaces. Some of you guys might know on Fusion Fridays, but yeah, you know, I I've always been a collaborator, above all when it comes to music. And, you know, with the VEC, like, I have my buddy Max, who's a really talented producer who I took engineering classes with and everything. And, you know, he really guided me in the production, and mixing, mastering, engineering side of things. And then I have, you know, my friend Danielle, who's a really talented vocalist, and a couple other vocalists that I, you know, grew up with. You know, a lot of them I've known since I was as young as 7 years old, all the way up until now. Some of them I met, you know, years later through, you know, reconnecting through music, or initially meeting each other through friends, music. You know, my little cousin Dustin, he's on one of my, actually two of my tracks with me, and I need to get him back in here. He's a couple hours away now. But yeah, you know, definitely grew as a family, because it wasn't just like, oh, you know, we get together, we do a studio session, record, and that's it. You know, we got together, all of us on many occasions, sometimes just, you know, the two of us, sometimes a handful of us, and it was like we spent the day. You know, it was like we met up, you know, kicked it and smoked, watched a movie, you know, hit the studio, got the vibes going, recorded some music, you know, either, you know, went out to eat, or, you know, cooked up dinner at the crib, and, you know, then went out to, you know, the club, or, you know, had a party in the backyard or something. So it's definitely always been, you know, more of a collective vision. And that's what really got me into Web3 music, was when I started the VC as DMV Entertainment. It was always the goal to support artists like myself who didn't have a lot of monetary resources at the time to spend $150, $200 an hour recording, or, you know, having, you know, kind of like a team behind them that can do marketing and all these other aspects that come into play. And also, most of all, when I got into a situation with a fellow artist that was screwed over by their label and their manager, who was supposed to be a family friend, was what really, you know, drove that part of the mission forward. Seeing artists being, you know, taken advantage of, and, you know, not only getting the royalties that they deserved, at all, but also losing rights to any music that they had done previously, having to go into legal battles for a couple of years, and then just to come out of it with the only gain being that any music they create moving forward is theirs, which is hoorah.
It's a big win. It's a big win indeed. So I guess final question with Lacey. Um, how with this open mint, how do the proceedings help you as a creator, and kind of like what I'm seeing kind of there's some utility in the description here.
Yeah, so I guess to kind of do a little combo here, the way that I've structured the way that I do mints, which is of course always open to change and pivot with the artists that I work with, because not every artist is necessarily going to want to structure a mint the way that I do. For instance, when my first actual genesis was the Roo rap for the Roo Troop community, in collaboration with my homie Patty Mack. And what we did with that one was we put 33% back into the VEC, which goes towards a lot of different aspects, everything from equipment to helping out new artists with some of their production costs, to just all the aspects that come into starting up a studio collective and business. And then the 33% outside of that, we swept some Roo Troop assets, some Joey Mob NFTs, gave those away to the community. That one is actually not minted out. It's got 17 left out of the 100 on Manifold. So once we mint some more of those out, we will be giving away a Roo Troop Roo NFT, and we've also given out some Roo Troop traits through the new Dawn marketplace that's in collaboration with PA, to the community members who minted that, so they can put traits on their Roos and stuff. So a lot of like fun little utility in there as well. And then the 33.
Is this what you are talking about?
Oh yeah, yep, that's it right there.
Okay.
Rudy motherfucking Roo. And then that 33% of that one went to really kickstarting the DefiedDames.eth domestic violence awareness and prevention fund, because that's something I'm extremely passionate about, and quite a few people in my life that have been through, and also are very passionate about as well. So we have now, I don't remember exactly off the top of my head, but between the 5% from Lacey and the 33% from the Roo Rap, I believe that's sitting at 0.1665 ETH, which right now equates to a little less than $400, which is not bad to start off a fund like that, which once we mint the Roo Rap out, we'll be disclosing exactly what we're doing with those funds in full transparency, which is essentially a two-parter. We're looking to donate 50% directly to the domestic violence organization in my hometown of Falls Church, Virginia, as well as the other 50%, as long as the organization and everything is okay with the compliancy and everything that goes into these sorts of things, as a direct donation to an individual who's currently trying to get back on their feet from a domestic violence situation, whether it's to help them maybe start out payments on a car so they can get a job, get to work, whether it's groceries for them, or maybe they're a single mother or even a single father, because domestic violence does not see gender, race, color, anything. It's those effects are everywhere. So yeah, and with Lacey, we did it a little different. The upcoming mints, I'm thinking about upping the 5% to 10%, and then for my solo ones, it'll probably be a little bit higher for my solo drops. And with Lacey in particular, we did the if you minted one, you still get entered into giveaways in the Discord and things like that. We've given away music NFTs, some of them just individually. We gave away a Snoop Dogg and Nessie half stepping. We did a 5-pack of TK the Legend, 5 of his songs that came out with his 7-piece drop, things like that. And then with the 3 times rewards for those who minted 3 or more, we haven't disclosed exactly what that is yet, but that will be coming within the next couple of weeks. One of them will be a physical claim that's for free, and that also has a digital tie-in as well. And then the other one will be a digital claim, which we have not disclosed yet, but those are right around the corner. Let's just say that. And then the golden egg reward, which actually we're giving away the golden egg right now in Discord for those who either hold Lacey the Roo Rap or Vibe City Elements POAPs, which we do during Vibe City Spaces. We're giving that away because an IRL homie ended up winning the golden egg, which I was hoping wouldn't really happen because when there's somebody that I see on a regular basis, or at least semi-regular basis, it's pretty easy for them to have a lot of the utility associated with it, which is a copy of the Roo Rap, a merch drop by myself and the VEC, as well as a private Twitter chat or Discord chat, which would be kind of for, as an artist, could be for collaboration talk. And as a fan or artist could be, kind of a little more inside alpha and things of what I've got going on and what the VC's got going on, as well as 3 times entries into all the giveaways that we do. So yeah, just different things that dropped.
Okay. For a second there, I thought I lost you, but you came back.
Oh yeah, I glitched out for a second, but I think we're good.
Okay, last thing I heard was some a sentence leading up to with like giveaways.
Oh yeah, so the last little part there is that with the golden egg reward, you get a role in the Discord that gets you 3 times entries to all the giveaways that we have going on, like currently, and ones that'll be in the future as we go forward.
Okay, that's sick. That's sick. I mean, keep doing what you're doing, dude. Like, as kind of like we spoke earlier, kind of when we kind of entered this call, you were mentioning how the grind has been ongoing lately with both the real life side of things and also working on your dreams. Um I have to tell you, dude, keep doing it. Keep doing your thing. I guess final topics I kind of like to cover with you are kind of like, I guess the next one I could do is could you tell us about your most recent Decentraland event? Did you have a Decentraland event with Nessie Gorilla?
Yeah, so first of all, thanks, man. Every bit of kind sentiments and motivation really keeps me going. I've always been a bootstrapper from a blue collar family, but all those sentiments mean the world. Definitely fuels the fire. As far as the metaverse events, I would say the 2 most recent were the Spottyland highlighting Lacey, and then a bunch of other tracks that were played, was super dope. And actually, I should have sent you the video. I dropped the ball on that one. Maybe we'll run it back sometime. But they did a really cool video of Lacey being played in the metaverse with the whole Spottyland jumping and just everything going wild. So that was really cool.
If that's on
Definitely.
YouTube or something, we can get it up.
It is not. It's on. I did tweet it out a while ago.
Okay. Yeah.
but I can't pull it up on my computer. Oh wait, yeah, hold on. Let me see.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
I can retweet it real quick. Yeah, I just retweeted it to the should be at the top. Yep. Yeah, so that was super dope. Just really really cool experience. And the most recent one was in Spatial. It was actually with Shilly Schwaz and the Bored Ape punk rock band. Super cool project. Really, I connected with them way back when they were just starting out promoting the project. I thought it was a really cool concept because I've always been a huge Blink 182, Good Charlotte, Sum 41, Fall Out Boy type of vibe. In addition to my gangster rap side of things, and so I joined up with that project, and have gotten to become really good friends with the founder and the community and everything as well. And I had jumped into a bunch of the events that they had in Bora Boring, which is their spatial, which is really well developed. I've been in a lot of spatials, and I would say theirs is definitely one of the dopest that I've ever been in, if not maybe even the dopest, to be honest. But I don't want to shade anybody that's a spatial developer. And so I went in there they had one with Violetta and Ray and Emily Faye, which was super dope. They had one that was like an EDM one with Serena Ellis and a bunch of the EDM homies, and I believe they had another like hip hop style one that was with Domino and a couple of the other hip hop heads in Web3. And I just thought it was really really cool. So I would post videos and everything like that. And Schwaz, he I've interviewed him on Spaces. He's caught me in a bunch of spaces hosting and everything like that. So he reached out to me and was like, "Hey man, would you want to do like how you kind of do on Vibe City Fusion Fridays with the open mics and everything with hip hop? Would you want to do an event in Bora Boring like that?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, man! I definitely would. I would be all about that." So I, started out with a Google form, putting it out there into GCs with a bunch of the, different communities I'm in that I know have a bunch of, rappers and hip hop artists from across the boards, ones that, also fuse genres and everything. And then I also wanted to, grab some headliners. So I reached out to Crypto Casually and Nessie because they're definitely two of my big inspirations, and I've become established relationships with them. They're the homies, and so they were really receptive and all about it. And so we kind of planned it out and everything. And here's where the technical difficulties come into play, right?
All right.
So we had set it up where the openers, we wanted to get everybody to perform live as much as possible, but unfortunately that's really difficult with everybody in different time zones and traveling and everything, that all the different variables that come into play with a metaverse event. And so for a lot of the opening act style stuff, we had some pre-recorded videos, some visualized videos, all that. But, the artists also recorded, shout outs to the communities and everything like that, which was super dope. And then the plan was that we would go from that initial opening of with a handful of those openers like Ade and Cam and Thanos and a lot of those dudes. And then I would do a 30-minute set of basically DJing a bunch of different tracks of different Web3 hip hop artists that I like, that I respect, that a lot of other community members had suggested, with throwing some sound effects in there and emceeing and hyping it up. And I also had a video loaded up to play in the background, as well as having myself streaming through OBS and Twitch to be up in the corner, and then direct miking in with everything. Well, the issue was everything was working out just fine, except for some reason the direct mic and everything was working, but my direct music was not working. So all the bells and whistles were doing just great, except for the music wasn't working. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh shit, why is it not working? Why is it not working? So then I tried to pivot and jumped in via my phone on into Spatial and did it that way, much like what I'm doing here and what I do on Twitter Spaces. Well, for some reason with the Spatial, the settings just weren't working out as well. The quality was just not nearly what it is right here. So basically my set had to be completely scrapped and I had to just, run with it and just kind of from there on just MC in terms of, hyping it up, letting everybody know that we had POAPs out, they could tip the artists, all that kind of stuff. And then we had Crypto Casually run up. But unfortunately, some issue happened with his YouTube live stream that it just wasn't working out. So we just rolled straight into Nessie, who, really, really saved the day. He came in and just smashed it. If you've seen Nessie perform live or, on Twitch or in the metaverse, anything like that style, he is just a different breed when it comes to his stage presence, even not being on a stage necessarily. Just came in, ripped like 6 songs back to back, was just, jumping all around the room, like 10 feet in the freaking air, just ripping it. He did the Bull song. He did a couple of songs off of Open Minds, it just really got everybody lit up. So it was a really good time. But, long story short, with the technical difficulties, Schwaz and I are running it back, some tests back this week. So the next event will likely be, let's say, most likely over the next few weeks, probably either the end of November or early December, where we'll get all the kinks ironed out so that the next one will run real smooth. Appreciate you, man. Truly, truly. And I could say that for IRL that I've been to as well. I've been to a lot of different concerts and shows, and there's been quite a few, handful of them where there's been sound issues. There's been I saw Method Man and Redman live one time, and the audio guy just man, you couldn't hear a word they were saying for like a good 5 minutes. It was just like nothing but bass. But then so somebody on the team kind of pivoted and picked it back up, and the rest of the show was absolutely lit and incredible. And yeah, like you said, you once those vibes kick in, everything else just kind of melts away, and you're just like in the moment. So I appreciate it. I'm definitely glad that you had that experience, because as somebody who you throw events and a lot more in it within this type of sphere than I have thus far. Yeah, you get on yourself about it, but then you realize you get the feedback from people like you and Make and a bunch of the other homies that were in there who had a great time, and that's at the end of the day, that's what really, really matters. Oh yeah, I think from now on, I'm definitely gonna run with that style where if there are technical difficulties, I'm just gonna go with the flow and just not even note it. Oh yeah, definitely. And the people love that. I think now that you say that, I feel like I've been at some shows where I didn't even know that's going on because all of a sudden somebody's on stage like, here's a bunch of free T-shirts. They're just like throwing them in the audience. And you're like, oh, I thought so and so was about to be on, but yeah, free T-shirt, hell yeah.
Okay, so right, just now, perfect example, talking about difficulties and things not going right. Someone, Rustan in chat goes, Sin, I think your voice is gone. My voice got muted and I didn't even know.
Yep, it'd be like that. It'd be
uh,
like technology, man.
we're
Technology.
super Web3, man. We're super Web3. I personally think that sometimes these technical difficulties kind of um, show the crowd, or like the people that attend, which are in turn like, people that your community, people that support you and love you, that, we're all human and we're all trying to do the thing. And yeah, and, others could learn from your mistakes as well.
Yeah, 100%. That's why yeah, like I kind of am back and forth sometimes with, sharing those types of insights because I feel like that's a big difference between, as we say, the Web3 versus the Web2 world, where whether it's business or music or something like that, where a lot of these, bigger names or more established companies or whatever are really not, let's say, kind of more transparent or open about those kinds of things, where whether people in their organization or younger artists or younger A&R people or producers or whatever can learn from those experiences. It's kind of swept under the rug and everything like that. Versus in Web3, a lot of the people out there that I learn from the most are the ones that explain what happened, where they had to pivot or something didn't go as planned or something like that, instead of just kind of trying to brush it away. But it is, everybody's got their own style and stuff like that. But yeah, I really liked how you put that we're all people out here trying to innovate and do new things, and with that, there's always complications here and there. It's just it's life.
Exactly. Yeah. Um, Sorry, over. I see it was Billy that disclosed the info first. Thank you, Billy. I love you, Billy. Okay, so we've spoken about music. We've spoken about your journey in Web3. We spoke about your metaverse. Well, briefly about your metaverse event. With Nessie. Um, I guess just like a quick question, like what is Nessie? What's the vibe you're getting from Nessie on like is he digging all this? Does he like it?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, it seems like a second nature to him. I feel like a lot of us artists, kind of circling back to that conversation of, he experienced a lot of BS when it came to, having a deal with a label that got shelved, and kind of putting his life situation and his family's situation on the line for that opportunity. And then fast forwarding to Web3 and just having people come out of the woodworks to support him.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's somebody who minted one of his first tracks, or whether it's people who are they whether they minted one open mind, or whether they're Cranium Council members who are the ones that are basically his board of directors, giving him like the best insights on what they like about his music, or the way he's approaching his career, and within and outside of the space. Yeah, man. I mean, he seems like he's loving it. Like vibes to the fucking sky. I was just in his Twitch stream earlier, and he's very confident. He knows he's an incredibly talented, skilled artist from a variety of different mediums. But he just seemed to be so happy to be able to be in the studio and having, a bunch of his core community members in there, not only hyping up the music, but he was asking for feedback on the ad libs or some of the playback and everything like that, and really taking it into consideration. Like really going with the suggestions in real time, and just having fun with it. Like he's he, as far as performing on the metaverse stage in Bora Boring, like it didn't seem like it phased him one bit compared to doing a live show or something. He was just up there like, Bora Boring, I love you all, let's fucking go, and that just goes to the next song, and then it was natural. It flowed.
Nice, nice. That's awesome, Nessie. And Nessie is like only one example of artists that got a shot, or and then something happened with the record label that didn't go right. We have Dill in the space as well. Super awesome seeing Dill just so he's like so willing to be out there for people, like be there for people. um After releasing a song, Jordan Belford, I think it currently has like 180 million listens on Spotify, and got boned for that music. So but it's always a breath of fresh air to see these individuals come into Web3 and they're like, holy shit, people fucking, where were all these fans, like what?
Right, it's insane. And wow, yeah, I've definitely come across Dill in quite a few spaces and everything. I heard his music, and he's a talented individual, and he gives that platform to what daily spaces that he not only brings up music artists, but brings up digital, physical artists to share their stuff. Promotes it. Gets the community support there as well. But to be honest, I hadn't heard about the whole Jordan Belfort thing. That's wild. There's a lot of those situations that happen that just are saddened to hear. But I think that's kind of the way life works in terms of one door closing, as they say, and another door opening. Because and I'm not saying this is specific to Dill or Nessie or anybody, just kind of a broader generalization when it comes to the way that a lot of artists have, gone into traditional music structures and then a lot of times been, kicked to the curb. Is that, maybe an artist nowadays could, at a young age, 15 to 21 or whatever, go into the music industry, have that one big hit, have all those quote unquote fans at that time because they've got this number one song or just one that's getting a lot of attention and things like that. But then they don't end up surviving in the industry because they're not getting the kind of experience and passion and love and support that Web3 artists are directly connecting with communities and fans. And that's kind of what they're thirsting for. And then you have all these other things that come into play, like the creative control, the monetary control, the contractual issues and things that come into play. So yeah, I think it's beautiful, like you said, that whole experience of where were all these people at? Because even if you were a Web2 artist getting a lot of fame, it's still kind of like, where are these people at? Like real fans versus hype fans versus versus no fans at all. Depending on where you're at.
Yep. Yeah. I think for an artist, like once like if you're someone that went down that hard path of like having it and then just and then going to not having it, like and then like, you know, getting out there to a public space and people knowing your name, like I think, and actually supporting, that is that's something beautiful. I feel like that's man, I lost my whole train of thought. I'm too high. It's too late. We're about to hit about like an hour and 40 minutes or so, around there.
Oh yeah, man, we've been chilling. We've been chilling, but yeah, no, we can, we definitely close down here. But shout out to some of the homies I've seen there. I seen Wolf earlier. I see my homie Meg there, always jumping around with
Of
the
course.
Bionic Rex and the Big J, man. All the homies in the building. Appreciate you guys coming out and sticking it with us throughout this. It's been a really really fun time.
I've had a good time speaking with you, getting to know you a little better. Um and yeah, we should definitely in the future run it back. Definitely run it back sometime. Maybe even get some homies in on the conversation as well. What's next for you, DCoop? What what what's the next music release or the next metaverse event that we could support you in?
Yeah, man. First of all, yeah, definitely appreciate you bringing me on, and this has been great. A lot of interviews and spaces and things. It's different, different vibes, different energies, but this has been just a cool like kickback conversation. Just and really getting to know you as well through this conversation. I love it being a two-way street and not just okay, you're shooting questions at me and I don't get to know anything about you. That's never really fun for me. I don't like just doing that style of things. But yeah, as far as what's coming, I'll try to summarize, I guess. As far as the metaverse events go, we'll definitely be doing another boring hip hop festival. I will keep you in the loop with that. And you guys will definitely see me posting about it on my account as well as the VC account. And Vibe City Fusion Fridays, 5 EST. This week's on Thursday because Grit and I both have really busy weekends. I'm a groomsman at my buddy's wedding, so that'll be a whole weekend event. Um, but yeah, those are definitely the best ways to tap in for like current things, as well as the Discord, which is in my bio, in the drum.io link. In terms of um, what's to come musically, I have a drop planned with another artist in Web3 in collaboration, which I have not disclosed yet, which is tentatively going to be the second week of December around that time. So definitely stay tuned for that. It's a different style from Lacey. It's something I don't know. I don't really know how to put a description to it. So we'll just leave that open ended for now. I'll also be having a couple solo drops here and there, probably starting near the end of December, moving into the new year, as well as an EP, which I plan on dropping probably late spring, and that will be a big one. That will be a mix of my catalog that I've been working on for 5-6 years, mixed with what I'm currently working on. And who knows with what's coming in the next couple of months, there could be a lot more. That will be a mix of a lot of different hip hop fusion genres. You'll hear some hip hop reggae, some hip hop country, some hip hop EDM. There will be a lot of different fusions on that one, and that will be something that I'll give more details on as far as the minting process. What comes into play with that, closer up to that, and then I guess the last thing is you'll see a lot of Web2 artists, quote unquote, from the collective that will be joining into Web3 through their solo works, collaborations with myself. And then the big kicker will be tentatively again, first week of June, we'll be throwing our first real launch IRL concert style deal, and with probably a second one closer to the end of the summer in the DMV area, which will be highlighting a lot more of what we've got going on over here. So it's gonna be a busy winter and a busy year.
You're like, after I asked that, you're like, okay, how do I summarize? Big breath.
Right.
Oh man, I love it. Keep staying busy, and I mean, as far as like opportunities go for musicians, Web2 musicians trying to look for a gig or something, or like just a stage to play on in front of like a community, like keep me in the loop. And I could always help them out as well. I'm thinking I'm gonna finish it tonight, I promise. But I'm thinking about doing a small community building Decentraland music fest for the 25th of this month, since it's music month here.
Oh, nice. Yeah, definitely. What on your end and anybody that's listening in here and everything, if you're looking to collaborate musically, if you happen to either be in the DC, a lot of people might not know what I mean by the DMV, but DC, Maryland, Virginia area, if you happen to be around the way or happen to be stopping through, hit me up on Twitter or whatever. And then in terms of DCL and Spatial and Fusion Fridays is always open mics and things like that. You, Sinful, and everybody in the building, just hit me up. I'm always looking to provide opportunities or collaborate on events and things as much as possible. It's it's a lot of fun. It's great experiences and yeah, definitely open to it. And the 25th, I'm there 100%. I'll put it on the calendar right now. And I'm also a little bummed that I didn't know as much about DCL up until just recently, because I saw that this year their big music one is really opening up to a lot of artists this year.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had known, I would have done a lot more preparation in terms of like, just being able to facilitate that. But I'm still looking into it. I might see what I can do in terms of at least getting out there a little bit.
Like
But probably
in terms of performing or organizing.
in terms of performing, I think they have different ways you can submit.
You want to perform? You want to perform at the CBD one?
Oh yeah, I mean, so let me get back to you on that, because the way with my studio setup and everything like that, it's mainly geared towards recording, not necessarily performing.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a ton of equipment on like outside of the studio that's for live performances and things.
Mm-hmm.
So I just got to make sure I got all my cords together, all the mics, all the other stuff,
dude,
so that I'm not.
it's music, so I mean a performance. At least to me, the scope spans beyond into just like actually physically performing your music. It could, if you don't have the means for that, you could always do a kind of a listening party with you. Go through your tunes, share what they mean to you and what they're about, and yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm definitely down for that. But I'm just really, hyped to be able to do the live stuff as well. Especially, I've done some live like in spaces where I actually play the instrumental and rap instead of just running the song and stuff. And then seeing Nessie like in Spatial and then also on Twitch, like doing his thing that way, like it's just got me super hyped up to really dive into that as well. So I'm kind of in between those two mediums. But yeah, I'm all about it.
Sick. All right, all right. I'll send out that doc for you. Make is probably over there like standing like, bro, you're supposed to do that like 2 days ago. Yeah. It's been a journey for me. I've been building up the confidence, and confidence has been built. Let's get it.
Oh yeah, yes sir.
Let's go.
Exactly. So, yeah, just any final words you would like to leave everyone with before we close out?
Yeah, man. I appreciate everybody coming through. Still vibing, still grooving. It's just awesome to see everybody in DCL with all the different. You got the flaming head over there. You got those ballin' ass wings. Like everybody's just flexing. But yeah, I appreciate you guys taking out the time in your day to kick it with us, to listen to the music, to getting to know me a little bit better. Time is the most valuable currency, so it means the world. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Keep not just chasing your dreams, but keep fulfilling them. And much love, and keep the vibes alive.
Don't kill my vibe. Don't kill my vibe.
Thank you, DCoop. Definitely has been an awesome conversation. Thank you all that have survived, have made it to the end of this almost 2-hour episode of Beyond the NFT. Much love to you all. Just I guess a quick chill, not really, because you'll see how I tortured myself this time. It is midnight for me. I will be featured on a music NFT Twitter space at 5:30 a.m. today. So yeah, it is today. Yes. Okay. So yeah, if anyone is up at 5:30 a.m., make sure to check out the Twitter space. We'll be discussing music and
My God, you psycho!
I know, right? I'll tell you how I decided to. I don't know. There was no decision. I just said yes. I got the message. I was like, it's at 5 a.m. And then I showed it to some friends. And then the friends were like, fuck it. And then I'm like, fuck it. Brain just turned off. And
Yeah, it's
and then I
usually how
messaged
it goes.
and I messaged back and said, yeah, I'll go. I get to share the stage with Nifty Sax. This dude is fucking dope. You probably know him better than I do. But
Oh yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say better, but yeah, Nifty Sax and the Nifty community, Nick Cosmo, and all of them, they're really, really people, very, very in tune with music, like very, very educated,
mhm.
insightful community who's also very welcoming, very, very open armed. I hop in their spaces a lot. I'm actually supposed to do a artist spotlight with them, but everybody's schedules have just been kind of all over the place lately. But I'm seeing also here, is it you got Poison Peso with you too?
Yeah, he's dope
That's the
too.
hope. Yeah, he's a dope man. Poison's the man, bro. That's gonna be lit. Oh my god, I typically wake up about 8:30 EST. Oh man, I don't know if I can do that 5:30. You're a beast,
Yo,
man.
yo, you'll
I
catch the
really want.
you'll,
I'll catch the recording.
with your coffee and yeah. So this is how this is gonna go down. Everyone on that list is like an iconic like singer and artist and shit, and I'm gonna be there like, hey, I don't make music, but I do host a music Twitter space. We'll see how that goes.
I mean, hey man, that's the thing. Like, it's great to have people from different skills and sides of things, because you also got a Rathi here, and she's not an artist, right? But she writes incredible newsletters and content
Mm.
that's music based. but yeah, there's definitely some very talented artists in the building. But hey, man, with the combo we had today, I don't see you having no issues. I think you'll be kicking it and vibing with the homies.
Thank you, my friend, and yeah, thank you for being on tonight's show. I guess final things that I would like to kind of just talk about today are our dollhouse has a full lineup of events this upcoming week or this week. On Wednesday, Cyber Love movie night at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. UTC, which is almost like a perfect movie time for UTC. Then the music festival kicks off on the 16th, Thursday through Saturday. Make sure to catch Gucci Toe with Lucid Dreams, Metamorphic Vibes. That's going to be dope as fuck. Then we got Deep Fake at 8 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. And then on Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Wait. I just totally fucked that up. 3 p.m. Eastern on Friday for Deepfake. Then Saturday, DJ Doodle will be performing at 2 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, make sure to catch all the events this upcoming week. And also shout out to our sponsors. We have Voxboard, Songbird Collectives. Big shout out to Meta One Designs. I've been seeing you building in the background, Meta One Designs. Don't think you can be building and me not be noticing. We got Dr. Drip. Much love to the brother. Make sure to head over to the marketplace and check out the Gold Guy brand. Pick up some jeans. They're pretty fresh. And of course, the Baby Dolls. Thank you, Baby Dolls, for hosting us here at the Dollhouse. We love you and thank you for everything you do. We'll see you back here for Beyond the NFT next week. Thank you, and I love you all.
Much love, brother. Mucho gusto. Appreciate you having me. Y'all have a great night.